Aries, good morning. It's the Sunday before Easter, Palm Sunday. So for those of you who don't know, Easter is actually a fairy holiday in some circles. I believe it was called it's spelled Ositera. Now there is an actual pagan holiday that's similar in its sounding, but it actually is spelled Ostara, and that takes place in March. So a lot of people can sometimes get confused when they're new to the Fae stuff now, but that is solely, I believe, Wiccan, because it has to do with the Sabbats, or pagan, just depends. But Aries, I wanted to go ahead and talk about a couple of things. One, I will be using this sexy deck on, it's one of my favorite decks, on my Patreon page for the full moon reading in, sorry if I can talk today, full moon reading in Libra. Now, that is already posted on Patreon. $35 gets you all the information you need to know about what's coming in with that full moon. There's that. I also will be using the rites, rituals, and it's an Isis Oracle deck that's going to go through the levels of unconditional love. And it's also about self-unconditional love, yes, but also how we show that to others and how it is showed to us. And the spell castings with this are pretty powerful, and I actually use them in my personal life to anchor down blessings in the 3D. But for you guys, I'm using it to help anchor down your fairy blessings. So if you would like to join me on Patreon for that, for your zodiac sign, it is also available. I have it up for $100 because you get at least 3 different rites, spells, rituals, and incantations. And I'm telling you how to do it and giving you guys alternatives for your spell casting abilities and or a spell or ritual if you're not able to do it. But it's already been posted. Whoa, okay, I'm getting to it. Geez. Sorry. The Fae beings are like, get to it. I'm like, excuse me, crack that whip. Gosh, like, dang, y'all savage this morning. But I don't blame them. I've been in kind of the thing is as a Scorpio, for those of you who don't know me, I have a stellium in Scorpio, but I'm born on like the cusp of Scorpio Sagittarius, and like half of my chart is Scorpio and the other half is Sag. And then I have like these random earth placements and then like triple Venus in my chart, but my Mars is in Scorpio. And every time something happens in Mars or Aries, my natal Mars tends to be activated at this time. And so like I have Mars like literally in Scorpio, and it is it's been difficult, guys, because as we're heading into Taurus season, for me, I love Taurus season, but I notice a lot of people around May like to cause problems, not just for me, but around the world. And that's because there is a full moon in Scorpio coming up next month. I believe it might also be an eclipse too. I have to check my book. I usually have like one of those yearly calendars, but because of where I live and due to my environment, I'm not really able to keep my practice up in that way. The people that I live with don't like that I do this. They don't support it. And one of them makes my life a living hell for me to even do this. I have to do these readings when they're gone, which they're gone like maybe 10% of the time. The rest of the time, it's constantly like, I feel like I'm always being overlorded, and it's ridiculous. And so Aries, it's like, with Mars in your sign, for me, I know it's activated me up. I know my defenses have been up, especially with everything else going on in the world, Aries. I've noticed it. I don't know if you've noticed it, but now that Mars is moving into Taurus, I'm generally wondering how that's going to go when he does move, because we have Mercury going retrograde in... Oh, okay, we have this in reverse. This isn't actually... Okay, we can't fix this yet. Don't worry about it. I'll explain it in a second. But I've worked with this card, so don't panic. So, okay, show me, please. What is it Aries needs to do to be able to open this? What is the Fae blessing, guys? Oh, yes. I swear, everybody that, like, Pisces, I believe Capricorn got this. I know Scorpio got this at one point. And Libra got this. And this is actually really awesome. So we have the Fae blessing here of a blessing of fairy magic. So, like I said, like, share, subscribe. If you guys would like to tip me, you may do so. And if you would like to book a private session with me, emergency, you can go to my calendar link. And if you can't schedule a live reading with me at the times I'm available, you can go ahead and place an order and put a delivered video to your email, and I can deliver a specified reading for you via email. Just let me know if you want tarot, oracle, fae readings, all that good stuff. And we can work it out from there, and I'll deliver you a recorded video link, just FYI. So, because most of the time when I say I'm out here doing these readings, it's usually in another part of the house that's more open and not cooped up in my room. But I can deliver the readings cooped up in my room. That's not a problem. But yeah, Aries. So, don't worry about that. And like I said, just join me on Patreon because those are already recorded. So here's the deal, Aries. First off, I need to talk about this. Okay. So I normally don't read reversals in this deck, but this reversal is important because this talks about, it says, a blessing to undo an unfortunate grease. Now, grease in this deck with the fairy blessing cards, like Amy Brown's artwork, but Lucy Cavendish wrote the book. And when I worked with this card, this is a grease, and she defined it as a spell or curse. Usually it's a curse or a hex or something. This is in reverse. Now, don't panic, because when I pulled this card, the very first couple of times I worked with it, I pulled this card too. And I was like, okay, so it kind of confirmed there was something there that was energetically blocking me via magic or something. And this card confirmed that, okay? But I wasn't able to open that doorway. And I was like, okay, well, why? Usually when the fae spirits are trying to tell you there's something here that has to do with magic or grease, they can sense it because, again, it's earth magic. So what it is they'll be able to feel its energetic vibrations out and feel the trace of what was done. They may not be able to pinpoint exactly what was used, but you can get guides, and your guides, your ancestors, or your deity or your angels, they can point you in the direction of what might be used to counter something, okay? I'm actually really great with counter curse work, believe it or not. I normally don't advertise that, but because I've had to deal with so many people over the last 6 years that have tried to literally ruin me every freaking way possible, including magic, I have had to learn how to counter curses very well, hexes, all that. So the thing is that we know, so the fairies are confirming that there is something here. Now, a grease is also, it doesn't have to be an actual curse. It could be an intention. It could be a thought. It could be, but it is coming from an external force in your either vicinity or someone in your group. So first off, I'm going to tell you something. Before you can even tap into this, you need to eliminate the problem of who's causing you issues, or you need to identify who it is or what it is. It could have been, it could be as simple as, someone is being your friend and they're telling your business because they're happy for you, but then they're telling people who are secret enemies. So you that come off as friends. And then really they're frenemies, right? So then you think everybody's supporting you, and then your manifestations get attacked. Your stuff isn't working out, okay? And you're like, what the hell? Why? Because this is where, some readers say, oh, keep things to yourself. Oh, keep things private. But, truth is privacy, it does work in manifestation, but eventually everything gets found out. I know, because I'm a Scorpio. We know truth. We find things out about people all the time. So it's like you can't keep things secret forever. Secrets are eventually found out. That's why, I guess that's the allure of secrecy. But, and mystery with Scorpio energy. But for you, Aries, it's like you don't have the time to go through every mystery because you're too busy fastly acting like that, moving forward, making steps, etc., etc. So it's like you're like, great, I'm glad I know this, Luna, but now what can I do? Well, here's the thing. In order to correct this, let's not look at what someone possibly did or casted or gave an intention or anything like that, because the more you put attention on that, the more it's not necessarily going to work out for you. And this is not to freak you out, okay? Because this card came up as a jumper, so I didn't pull it, okay? I only pulled jumpers. And mainly for that reason, because I'm not one to say, oh, well, this has happened. No, I'm not like that. So if this came up, that is a confirmation just for me as a reader to know, okay, there is something there in the external force and forces that are kind of coming through right now. I'm not okay with that, but I know how we can fix it. So how we fix it is, first, like I said, identify who is really for you and who is not. And that might take some time. Now, this energy is lasting a whole week, okay? Both of these cards, remember, because I read for the week, but they could go from a month to 3 months to 6 months from now. The energies, when we do the rites, rituals, and incantations for the Isis Oracle, they last at least a month. So even if, and I know there are counters in here for what I pulled for y'all, so for this, okay? So the reason I'm mentioning this is because if we give our energy over, then it has more power over us, right? Like with these negative forces that are trying to like stop us or whatever. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, you know what? You go do your thing. Let it do its thing while you try to identify the people, persons, or things that are not being helpful to your situation. Now, sometimes what some people do is, and this is where I don't want to like scare people, but there are times where people will give you objects and you get a funny feeling about it and you don't really like it. Sometimes there's energy attached to those objects that may not be, it could be like, okay, I've heard this happen to someone. A lady called one time. I was at a mystic shop, and she had got some kind of possession from a vintage shop, but it was like dark, very dark. I mean, very, very dark. And I just remember, like, I could feel the energy coming from that caller. Like, she was not doing well. And I wasn't even the one answering the phone. I wasn't a part of the shop, nothing. I just walked in, and the shop owner was like, oh my God, like, you know, kind of a little panicked. And so it's like, that's why I if you're going to buy items that are not new or they're resale, make sure you sage that shit down. Because, and not just sage it, like sage it, sandalwood it, paleo scent to it, holy water that crap, because I'm telling you, sometimes there are energies that are still connected or were used for nefarious things that they can't just easily be broken by changing, you know, homes or environments. They attach and they go with you. So if you've had any possessions in your house that have been given to you that you were like, yeah, this energy's off, like things have gone to poop since I got it, either sage it. I don't want to say get rid of it because you don't want to pass that problem on to someone. But if it's something like little, like a crystal or something, bury it in the earth. Give it back to Mother Gaia. She'll cleanse it for sure. She'll take care of it. If it's something that is quite large, holy water or Florida water for my people who aren't necessarily Catholic, you can, or you can make your own holy water with moon water, which the full moon in Libra would be perfect for that. Full moon water is great for cleansing anyway. You can also do, one of my favorite shops that I like to buy magic oils from is actually Art of the Root. I wish they had an affiliate program. I would like sing like a canary about them all day long. I've bought from them so many times. But they have one oil called Protection from Evil Oil, and I actually have used that, and that actually does work. I like take a cotton ball and I get that, and then what I would do is I would take the cotton ball and flip the thing over and then douse that thing in that as I'm saging it with the doors open, calling in my cleansing deities, guides, guardians, or, you know, whoever I'm working with. But just know if it's not a possession, there might be an energy that is associated with your job that's blocking you. Because sometimes in the Fae realm, Fae are everywhere, but sometimes they're only connected to one area, okay? So I did want to mention that before we move into this, because I'm trying to give you guys, because sometimes it's not always people. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's a possession. Sometimes it's the intention behind the possession. So if you are unsure, but you're like, yeah, I get weird vibes from this every time I think about it, or yeah, I noticed a correlation in how my life went to poop the minute I got that. Weird. Yeah, that's a big like for me, a big red flag of, okay, there's some type of negative energy hanging around that doesn't need to be around, that's either attached to some place or a building or an object or coming from someone to mess with you, okay? So the reason I'm pointing this out is because now you know how to identify these problems or these situations or these scenarios. You can now use the energy of the blessing of fairy magic to help eradicate whatever this is or open the door. Because sometimes we can't totally eradicate all in one setting. I got to be honest. Like, cleansing a house and cleansing a property is very different than cleansing one space because each space is different. No space is alike, just like nobody else's energy is alike. So sometimes it takes multiple tools and methods to cleanse and clear. But the beauty is the Fae are here supporting this, and you can use their fairy magic in any way that necessarily you need to. So you may actually be able to, once you identify what it is, to use the fairy blessing of fairy magic to really tap in with the Fae and the goddess Freya and ask her, because remember, she's over all things fairy. You can ask and invoke her to help them use their magic to cleanse, clear, dispel, etc., etc. If you're going to do that on Saturday, because the full moon is, I believe, it's the 16th, and I am not looking at a calendar right now, guys, but full moons are excellent for cleansing and clearing as well. So if you feel like something is attached to you, go take a moon bath. What is a moon bath? It's so easy. All you do is go out, lay out underneath the full moon. That's it. And some people do it nude. So I would not recommend that if you live in a highly urbanized area. I would recommend if you're going to do that, wear a bikini or swim trunks. If you're going to do that. And if you're not going to do that, you can still take moon water and you can make moon water in a glass jar. It's really easy. You just take a glass jar, fill it up with water, and let it charge under the full moon some people do one night. I do all three. Oh yeah, I don't mess around when it comes to making moon water. My moon water is it's pretty intense because I let it charge all 3 days and all 3 nights. So it has solar and moon, but mainly for the purpose of moon. Now, if you just want to do the moon and you don't want to do the solar, just take the jar off, when dawn hits and then put it back as dusk goes down. Okay, guys? So that is what you can do. You can even put it in a spray bottle and, with some essential oils. Peppermint is great for getting rid of negative energies. One of my favorites, but make sure as you ask, you must invoke. So when you banish, especially banishing during like the last night of the full moon, going into the waning moon, excellent time to banish. Just so you guys know, because then these energies are going to be able to really help you around that full moon. But check in, like I said, with that full moon reading, because you're going to be able, with the tarot, to find out what is emotionally going on. And there's a lot emotionally going on. But Aries, for you, it has to do with your house of partnerships, legalities. And partnership, usually with the 7th house, does deal with love, romance, marriage. But it also has to deal with contracts. That's why I said legalities, because usually it's contracts. But so I don't necessarily do legal readings, but contracts essentially are not just for marriage nowadays. They're for like when you buy a car or when you get, an apartment, etc., etc. And the Fae are excellent. These Fae beings in particular, any Fae is excellent when it comes to contracts, but they also are great with stipulations, which if you're going to sign a contract, I am going to tell you now is a better time than waiting 2 weeks from now, because Mercury retrograde is going to hit, and anything you sign during Mercury retrograde, it is not going to work in your favor. And if you get a contract during Mercury retrograde, I'm telling you right now, reread it. Make sure everything is included in there. And no, even if you sign it, it's going to be short term. So if they say, come sign the contract during end of April, early May, just know that's in the middle of a retrograde in Taurus, which deals with earth signs and contracts and material 3D things. That's not the best time. Try and do it before, or if you can, push it out till beginning of June. After June 3rd, Mercury starts to go direct, and you have much more supported energy for things like that. Also, what I am getting with this in particular, because the reason I'm stressing contracts is because it's always about, contracts usually are meant to benefit both parties. But if you are not getting the benefit, you're getting the short end of the stick, we got problems. And what I've noticed is what people do during Mercury retrogrades or close to that time is they'll say, oh yeah, we're going to put it in the contract, and oh yeah, you know, this and this, and then they'll try to hoodwink you even before you sign to get, like, a great example. I was applying for an apartment towards the end of Mercury retrograde, even though I know, like, oh, it was still shadow phase actually, like it was post shadow, but still shadow. And I just remember being like, well, it's going to come out in a few days. It can't be that bad. Oh, no. This lady wanted me to sign a contract about applying for an apartment. And I was like, I got a really funny feeling about it, because she was like, yeah, you have to sign that before I can say you're in the clear. And I was like, well, shouldn't you be able to tell me I'm in the clear right now? You know? And she was like, well, I mean, and then I was like, you know what? No, she's up to something. I can feel it. Like, as a psychic medium, I could sense that a mile away, that I was like, you know what? I think I need to go over this paper that you gave me that you're really wanting me to sign, because I feel like I need to read it in depth. You know what I'm saying? Like, I told her straight up, I feel like I need to read this a little bit clearer. And she was like, oh, but I thought you really wanted the apartment. I was like, oh yeah, I do. But if it's meant for me, it's meant for me, and I'll get it. But I said, something's just telling me to go home and read this. If you'll excuse me, I have to go. And I left, and I immediately went home and did a tarot reading, and sure enough, my cards were telling me there was the paper that she gave me I needed to reread over, because I got the Page of Pentacles, and it was like, it seems like a good offer, but then I got the Devil card. I was like, oh hell, she's gonna screw me over. I know it. And then I got the Queen of Cups card for me, but I got the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. I was like, oh yeah, she's gonna screw me over. Okay, let me go reread, you know, that paper that she gave me. And sure enough, if I had signed that paper in front of her in that office, what was going to happen was she was going to take a $300 deposit from me and not give it back to me. That it was in that contract that if you applied and you signed that paper in office and like they saw it, then they were going to, whether you qualified or not, they were still going to take a $300 non-refundable deposit from you, period. And I was like, oh, so she was going to still try to say I was going to get it knowing I wouldn't. You know what I'm saying? Knowing there's a possibility that she wasn't really going to give it to me just to take my money. This was during the pandemic when it onset in 2020, like that summer. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to call her then, because if it really is meant for me, she should have told me before I'd sign anything like that. So I call and she's like, oh, are you still going to get the apartment? Are you still going to come down and sign that paper in front of me? And I was like, you know what? I just need to know, are you actually going to give me the apartment? Like, am I qualified and cleared for it? And she goes, well, did you sign that paper? I said, no. And after reading it, it says here there's a non-refundable $300 deposit. So why would I sign something like that under these conditions if you're not going to tell me automatically up front that it is for me? And so she was like, well, then no, we're not going to give you the apartment. And I was like, okay, thank you. Have a great day. Like, I hung up on her because I'm not going to play that game. So that's why I'm saying be very, very careful of contracts, because that's how they get during retrogrades, even post shadow and pre-shadow, they're going to be like that. So I'm telling you guys, use your intuition, use the Fae. And actually, I would ask and invoke the Fae, the blessings of Fae magic, to have contracts go in your favor now, especially before retrograde. Even though we're not pre-shadow yet, we're on our way there in 2 weeks time. Actually, not even. It's probably a week and a half now that I think about it, because we're in the second week before retrograde starts to go pre-shadow. So FYI. All right, guys. So other than that, that's what I have for you. I hope you got some really good information on how to work with this. And then hopefully what we'll do is when this energy comes up again, we'll be able to find out how to open it. But the beauty of the Isis Oracle deck is I already figured out how we can kind of unblock this and use this to anchor down the Fae messages as well. So we can enhance whatever magic, whatever magic, really? Okay, fine. She's like, stop talking about me. We can enhance whatever magic the Fae are using to help ground down with that Isis Oracle reading. Other than that, I gotta go. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And like I said, if you'd like to book an emergency session with me or tip me, the link is down below. Bye, guys.